Final series of the day here in the EGFH Season 12. I'm Time to Light. Joined alongside me is K-Wing for the Richardson High School Legal Eagles Law Firm varsity Overwatch team up against All Hallows High School, the Gale Gamers Blue. I'm a little out of focus, so I'm totally going to just casually reset my link. But K-Wing, how do you feel about our two teams thus far?
You know, I've seen a lot out of both of these teams. We saw the Richardson High School team do pretty well, and up their time goes, just disappearing for a little bit as they reset their link for a second and try to appear right back, a little bit more in focus this time. Nice job. We've seen a little bit of the Richardson High School team, and we've seen a bit of All Hallows, and they've both done pretty well, at least in my opinion.
Mhm.
And just kind of looking to see how these two teams compare.
Yep. We do not have our standings. A bit of a production change in the background. Juke, our usual producer, had to run and go do collegiate stuff because that starts somewhat soon. So Blizz is in here for just one game, or am I Blizzard for all of you unfamiliar with the person. We're going to get things going fairly quickly. Same map pool as before, if we can go take a look over at our maps in order. We're starting things off as we did in our second and honestly first series that I wasn't here for, with Helios. And I don't know how you feel about Helios, but a lot of the time I just enjoy seeing all the environmental kills. That's what I'm here for.
You are here for chaos and nothing
Yes.
else. We've had so far 2 3-0 maps, so honestly, all I'm looking for personally
Just to see Circuit Royale.
I just want to see map 4. I just want to see I want to see someone win the first map and then not win the next 2 maps in a row. Like, I don't care if it's 3-1 or 3-2. I just want to.
Don't want it to be 3-0.
I just don't want it to be another 3-0.
That's fair.
I want more
Well,
Overwatch. Please,
Map
sir,
5.
I have some more.
Map 5 is Antarctic Peninsula, for all of you unfamiliar with Map 6. If it's required and we actually see a tie and a 2-2, we will see Lijiang as Map 6. I don't think Lijiang could be required, but a man can dream. Richardson High School coming into this pretty good. We've seen them play before. We've seen them actually reach a Map 4 before. Hopefully that happens again here. We start on Ruins. We saw both Lighthouse and Well in our previous series. We'll see Ruins here first in our final.
And this is a map that we haven't actually seen today. A sub-map that we haven't seen today.
Okay.
Because every single time that we have gone to Elias, we have gone to Lighthouse, and we have then gone to Well, and it has been a 2-0, so I'm hoping that we just get to see a bit more back and forth. But like I've been talking about this, Ruins is the Reinhardt map, and we see exactly that. I like Senior Bacon on the Baptiste, though.
Greg coming up and over, already on the Tracer, one of my favorite picks to see. They'll try and play flexibly. They do already bring out that recall, the flank from behind, and they drop Bullgod. So the opening duel goes the way, at least early, of Richardson High School. But a return, Dockwall and Tortoise both find one, a follow-up onto Lament, and it seems like All Hallows has been taken care of.
Richardson High School do get that first capture, and they're able to then push up right exactly where they're holding, where basically All Hallows have to push through really tight choke points in order to try and get onto the point. And Lament going mountain climbing to try and chase down that Tracer, but good charge means that they're kind of back where they started, and it's just going to be tough to push through.
Oh, and Lament's being focused down as well. You cannot get out of that one. When Greg, Tortoise, and Greg's fists are all looking in your general direction, there's not much you can do about it. Team kill comes through. All Hallows again are taken care of, and they need to be able to reinitiate with some ultimates. Shatter's very well on the way.
Yeah, these shatters have to be big, and you do see a lot of ultimates, a lot of really aggressive play coming out from Legal Eagles.
Immortality Field already dropped, so is Tortoise. There's an opening duel going their way on the All Hallows side, but Bird is actually dropped with the Disruptor shot. Didn't have that one on my bingo card. We saw a couple of those kills back on Colosseo last game, Amplification Matrix used on the high ground in almost a lost fight already. No way they actually kill Lament here. They may very well do so. Lament somehow still dies. The point has not flipped, and another immortality field is used. How does Richardson hold?
That's the question here. Just some really smart play from Senior Bacon, knowing that they don't have a lot of sustain all Hallows in that fight, and just using that to their advantage to stall out and wait for reinforcements. And now that they've got the overclock and they've got the goodbye.
Flex DPS or Flex support is taken care of, but Lament ends up committing unfortunate suicide on that one. Very well-timed sound barrier, even with the blizzard coming through. It's not going to do all that much. Overclock now for Dacwall. They need to at least find one to make it worth it. They missed that final shot across onto Bunks. Second attempt is there. They will drop them down low, but the iceberg is still available. Greg coming in very close to that impulse bomb, but it's just not enough. Greg, low, dropped, and all Hallows actually win the fight when Richardson, I thought, had it on lock.
I don't even know what to say there. I mean, you had some really good delay there and some crucial misses on the side of Richardson, especially from Dacwall with that ultimate. It was so close, and there's the shatter from Lament.
What a well-timed shatter as well. Tortoise was mid-air when it happened. Impulse or Pulse Bomb from behind will land. Greg a follow-up onto Bulgon, but I don't think it's going to matter. Lament is half HP only, and Bunks is dropped just the same. This is a 2v2 on the point itself, with no healing available for Lament, who basically just needs to hold their right-click if they want to stay alive in this one. Now support comes for both teams, but Richardson gets it quicker. Lament is healed up, but still needs to be focused down. Very short time remaining between them and the Shatter, and there it is. That may very well end the map as well. A swinging hammer will close it out. The iceberg, all that remains. The point will be capped. Overtime will tick away, and Richardson will win Ruins. Say that one 3 times fast.
Richardson win Ruins. Richardson win Ruins.
No, will win. Will win
Oh,
Ruins. There we go.
Yeah, that is pretty tough. But one thing I really loved there was how Senior Bacon was positioned. They realized that in that last sort of diminished fight at the end, that All Hallows didn't actually have any people that could contest them very well if they just got onto the highest high ground and fired from above. And that's exactly what they did. They got onto a pillar and they dared All Hallows to try and contest them, and they couldn't. Their May wasn't there. No one could touch them, and they just got to sit there uncontested. Coming into Lighthouse, I want to see more of that range from All Hallows, and I think Bunks on this Soldier 76 is going to be good. Playing on this high ground could be what turns it around for All Hallows.
Tony bringing in that decided Tracer, while Greg goes on towards this very surprising Genji selection, considering, well, they were on just the Tracer in the previous round. Dacwall and Greg both finding openers. Primary support is taken care of and the Immortality Field forced out, but it really is not going to matter. Reloading will Craig on those shurikens. Still trying to find this finishing kill on a Tony. I don't know if they're going to be able to find it, though. They still hunt him down, but just can't do enough damage.
No, and then the aggression from Richardson. It's exactly what you want to see with this Reinhardt composition, is pushing forward and just peppering in the damage onto All Hallows, and then picking that exact moment to engage on. Great sort of face-off there from Tortoise and Lament. Tortoise getting the better of it, getting a lot of damage onto Lament.
They have Shatter as well. Look out for that as they swing the corner. Return Shatter, but it's an even better one here from Tortoise. Main tank diff should say all chat right now as Richardson wipe All Hallows clean off the side and win the fight about as decisively as one can.
And without using a lot of ultimates either. You have Lament not getting a lot of value out of their fire strikes, with that Genji pick. And it's an interesting choice with the blade coming out, getting that immortality.
There's a Dragon Blade from behind. Sound Barrier will nullify most of the damage, and they actually do drop Craig out, so only a 1-for-1 trade. I don't think it's worth it in the grand scheme of things. You do take down primary support and an ultimate to return from Bird, which is basically a fight-winning ultimate in and of itself. Tortoise is trying to hunt him down, though. Tony gets dropped with that railgun shot, and the amplification matrix means, well, all Hallows have to find a different way.
They're gonna try and use the tactical visor from Bunks. That ultimate just not getting much value over top. But Dackwell's got another ult trying to answer for themselves. Tony's gonna get taken down, and Richardson are really trying to keep this going. And it looks like they might just... There's the shatter from Lament, and it looks like it might be Richardson.
Bird just booped Tortoise into thin air after the shatter misses entirely. It's not going to matter, obviously. Richardson still completely clean out Lighthouse, 100-0 here. But All Hallows, they made it look funny at a bare minimum. Tortoise is a little bit better on the tank role in specifically that map. Dackwell looked really good, surprisingly not dying between them and the Baptiste, but still looking really good at this point. You can see play the game for them as well, just add insult to injury here to All Hallows. And opening map goes the way of Richardson. If, well, our previous history would stay consistent, they should win the series 3-0, but I don't think that's going to happen. All Hallows should put up a pretty good fight.
I believe that too. I really think that if there's a team that can break our somewhat unfortunate luck the past 2 matches of having some 3-0s, I think it's going to be All Hallows. I think there were some easy mistakes that can be fixed. I think your ult economy, that kind of rotation, and just getting a lot more value out of these ultimates needs to be better from All Hallows, as well as that target focus. It can always be improved, especially for All Hallows, especially for the Gale gamers. And for Richardson, it's tough because when you look at Elios, you see, especially on Ruins, you see that Reinhardt composition. And then you go into King's Row, another pretty solid Reinhardt map. And then you go into Coliseo. Not a Reinhardt map, but you can still run the Reinhardt. We've seen some teams have some pretty good success running Reinhardt or similar compositions, that similar sort of rush style on these maps. This map, well, at least for this week, is really heavily dominated by teams that can play that rush composition, that can play the Reinhardt, that can play the Ramattra, that can play the Junker Queen. Those teams really succeed. It's why we've seen so many 3-0s, in my opinion, this week, is just because, hey, if you're better at your opponent than rush this week, you're swimming in it. You are absolutely just gonna run through them, as rushes want to do.
And in 3 weeks, we'll see the exact same map pool again. It is a rotating pool for all of you unfamiliar. So every 3 weeks, the exact same maps will come back online. So last week's will be seen in 2 weeks, and 2 weeks ago will be seen next week. You get the general ring of things. I do think that this is entirely possible to have a series go... Well, one series sees 10 of 11 tanks played, the following maybe 2 or 3, because you don't need to see as much flexibility because both of the tanks look pretty good between our 2 little sub-maps on Elios. Tortoise was out showing just a little bit. Better positioning, I think, was the biggest part for them, and they did have a little bit more help from the supports. DPS line, especially for Richardson, though, needs to be a little bit better. They still looked good, but if they're going to pick up with the rest of the team, it needs to find a little bit more early fight impact, because they were playing from behind, especially on Ruins, I think a little bit more than they wanted to.
Absolutely. And my mind gravitates especially to that one big blade on Ruin. No, it was Lighthouse, sorry. Mm-hmm. That big blade on... the blade on Lighthouse, it got the Baptiste, and that's definitely a good pick, but you end up dying for it, and you invest a lot into that one specific ultimate that only getting one pick, even though it's Overwatch 2, even though that one pick was that Baptiste, was that really big hero, it still feels like coming up short a little bit. And so now as you go into Kings Row, you definitely want to see Richardson. You want to see those DPS start to pick up. And as we look at these compositions, pretty unsurprising
But
from
is it nighttime?
All Hallows.
What?
Weird.
It's not usually nighttime on Kings Row, right? That's an Overwatch 1 kind of thing. What?
Huh.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll move on.
Are we going crazy? We're going crazy. All right, whatever. The
I
point
may be
is,
going crazy. It usually happens. But
hey,
you see the Reinhardt's on the board again.
yeah, I like the burst damage from All Hallows. I like the Reaper Cassidy composition. It's a good mix of that kind of mid-range Cassidy damage and the close-range Reaper. But Craig on that Widow scares me.
Hello. Dakwall is just dropped off the face of the earth. I think just got double fire strike and didn't do anything about it. Good boop. I mean, Lament's pin does a whole lot of nothing. They're dropped to about 200 health, but they do still have support. Craig from behind needs to be able to do damage here, and does. Tony is dropped off the face of the earth, and one tick is found for their troubles on the All Hallows side. Craig trying to focus down that Ana or find anything they can in the backline, but the backline just hiding ever so well here for All Hallows. It's enough done to keep them in this. Good disruptor shot, good damage onto Lament. They should be finished off with this railgun finisher, but it just does not come through in time. The dash around, they actually get dropped, and Dakwall misses because of it, but it's enough done by Richardson to only give up that first tick, barely holding that second.
I really think that All Hallows needs to play around Craig a lot better. They need to counter Craig way more. What they tried to do is they tried to have Tony come in and teleport right in front of Craig, and that's just an easy headshot for Craig to pick up. That's how you do it.
Craig a little bit proactive on that one. Didn't work as well. GGI forfeit, says Craig in chat, and understandably so. Lament is just completely taken care of, though, so a Widow for a Rhine. I'll take the Widow dying in that engagement any day of the week. And Tortoise even gets an immortality field for their troubles. Pin comes through. Good roll away there from Bunks to keep in this one, and they actually kill Tom for their troubles as well. So Richardson still hold, but just barely.
I do want to point out, Tom did hit a pretty sizable boop, but oh, there's the nano onto the Reinhardt, onto Lament. They're going in.
Oh, and Tortoise gets antied as well. Bird actually gets the double. Looking for more is Lament, and it's just a game of time denial here for Richardson. They will give up this first point. It's just a matter of how long it takes them to do so. I don't think that was the greatest of decisions, pressing Q there for Dakwall, the most useless overclock I've seen since Overwatch 2 started. And All Hallows will indeed cap first point after a calendar year transpires, and Tortoise also uses their ult. What is with Richardson and using ultimates in lost fights? Yeah,
Richardson is really playing interesting here. I don't know if I like how the synergy just seems to not be there. Back in that sort of last fight before last, Tortoise threw out a fire strike, and it looked like it was about to hit like 4 members of All Hallows, and Tom comes in and boops them all out of the way. It just, you felt like you saw, I felt like I saw Tortoise just ready to take a gigantic bite out of some Popeye's biscuit, and Tom just slaps it out of his hand. That was a little painful.
Another good ante onto Tortoise as well. Deadeye used here for Craig. It finds absolutely nothing whatsoever. Half dash away is Tortoise. Again, they get antied, and this time the shatter lands. Tortoise is evaporated, and Lament does more than enough with the assistance of Bird, no less. It's Senor Bacon in a 1 versus 4. Immortality field already used. They have no shot of doing anything other than stall.
I mean, that might be all that they need, though, as this cart is rolling forward, albeit a bit slowly. Senior Bacon might have just bought Richardson High School the time they need to get regrouped and get this fight going before they reach point B. Is a really good place to hold, but can anyone touch? That's such a good counter charge. That was such a smart counter charge from Lament.
So much better. Lament looking significantly better here. Gets nanoed as well. Senor Bacon is Senor Flattened. And All Hallows find it their first team kill of the series, actually.
That was really smart there. Lament hitting the counter charge onto XX Tortoise right before they were about to touch the cart, allowing the Gale Gamers to get that point. Really smart.
Application Matrix to create a little bit of space here for Richardson, as they still will hold. Craig actually finds two. Opened up onto Lament as well, I think most importantly. Bulldog is not surviving this fight. I'm sorry, just not gonna happen. And Richardson will indeed continue this hold, and actually are getting fairly aggressive. A Deadeye used? I don't think he intended to press Q there.
Hey, I mean, if it sure was an ultimate.
Wow! Lament just absolutely dipped Tortoise out the wazoo. Somehow still died to him, but I don't think it's going to matter. Shatter gets blocked after a charge cancel comes through, and then he shatters back the other way. All Hallows have just come out swinging, whether it's hammers or shatters.
I mean, I feel like the only way to react to it is the way that we both just instinctively reacted, which is just to go, wow. Tom goes down early, and Lament again.
Lament, I think, has got a little over-aggressive, maybe overheating at this point. Why is Tortoise dropping a shield when Bunks is overclocking? I'm no expert, but that does not seem like the most likelihood way of surviving a lot of these fights. Luckily, still has Senor Bacon there for healing, but not advisable.
Definitely not advisable. They do have some ultimates coming up, though. Tortoise got a lot of charge off that last fight, but just really good stuff from Lament on this tank.
Pulling the Shatter up and over, coming in from the top ropes. The pin from behind, though, a nanoed Lament. Tortoise makes it back inside of the Immortality field, though, and Lament's not going to survive. Only finds one kill. Again, it's a difference of tanks, and they keep playing a game of checkers as to who will come out on top.
And now Tortoise is... Oh, Tortoise, what you doing over there, my friend?
In from behind. Do
Going
it,
for the
do it,
tower.
do it. Oh, you missed.
Oh, you missed. Uh-oh. That's not good. But now, those shoes on the other foot, you have a lot of ultimates coming in for All Hallows High School. This might be their chance to turn around, especially with the Shatter. 8 HP for Lament!
And he dies off the back of that amplification matrix. The Deadeye hits absolutely nothing, and Dackwall gets him through. Richardson High School, seemingly a brand new team in third phase.
They've really recovered very well, and they keep the beat, which is crucial. They cannot lose that beat until they can't use that beat until they absolutely have to. They want to keep that for that last fight to keep them alive, and with both their DPS ults, it's gonna be pretty good. That's the missed Shatter.
But the beats on both sides. Dackwall actually decides to use their overclock, but Lament gets booped off. Our first environmental kill of our final series is on King's Row of all places. Third phase is deadly. You can see exactly why.
Yeah, and now it's not looking good for All Hallows. They have no ultimates in Richardson. They've got the Shatter, they've got the Deadeye, they've got everything that they could want to zone off this cart. The only thing All Hallows is close to is maybe the Nano and maybe the Overclock, but you got the Speed Deadeye coming in.
Around the corner, Tortoise with the Shatter as well, trying to find any opportunity to use it. This is final fight territory. Counterpin comes through. Tortoise is so low though because of that anti. They still have the Shatter online. That's the most important part. Does it get blocked? That's the real question. They baited out the first time, but off the back of it, they get evaporated. Bunks with that railgun shot will drop them away. Dackwall makes it back, so there will be another fight.
There is another fight, and that's got to be crucial. Now, though, the turns of table time. The turns of table, you have the Nano, you have the railgun, and there's the Shatter!
He overextends and he dies off the back of it. Craig is the only one to fall this far for Richardson. The amplification matrix on the board, but there's Tortoise. There's the anti, but it's the Nano coming through. Another boop onto another Reinhardt. It's down to Tony only though, and he just does not have enough. Can't touch, can't hold, and Bulgon wouldn't have done anything anyway. All Hallows cannot complete King's Row, but they come damn well close to it.
Oh, that was so painful there for All Hallows because the Reinhardt goes down, Lament goes down, gets shattered, and you could tell the exact thought process that Bulgon had there. It was, My Reinhardt needs to stay alive. I'm going to nano them for the instant heal and the damage reduction. But they get jumped in front of by Bird, by the Lucio, through no fault of Bird. They jump right in front of the Ana at the moment of nano boost, and what could have been a saving grace nano for Lament ends up becoming a sad little mistake and a frog on a lot of nano boost. It was close, but it's not enough. But all Hallows, they have definitely turned things around from what we saw on Ilios. And coming in now with the Symmetra is an interesting pick. Tony on the Widow could be a good choice, but with the long range, it's a long range choice. And I'm not sure if it's going to be that pick if Richardson High School decide to rush in. And that seems like exactly what they're going to do.
They were trying to bait Tony with that. They just positioned both players up top, trying to make Tony swing. Tony is going to swing. Craig trying to find retribution for first phase of King's Row in round number 1, but he's not even being given the opportunity. Tony, however, still up and swinging with a very large rifle in their back pocket. And, well, finally Craig wins it back. Where's the all chat? I need to see the all chat.
I need to see the BM. I do.
How is Lament still alive, by the way? That Fire Strike somehow doesn't do enough damage. Outstanding healing from Bulgon and Bird to keep them in this one. And right back up at full HP. Shields on the board as well. Tony trying to come back in this one will take the high ground and try their best Obi-Wan Kenobi impression. The Immortality Field taken care of. Tony playing hide-and-go-seek with Craig on the other side. But Bunks on the Symmetra is just peppering in so much damage. The Shatter gets denied, though. That's the most important part about it. The return Shatter just misses. It didn't even get denied. He just whipped entirely. Oh, no. Tortoise, what are you doing?
That was just unfortunate, Lament. Lament just said we go in, and that might have lost the point. That's disastrous.
On today's episode of Unadvisable W Holds, we have Lament on the Reinhardt, and that'll give Richardson first point. How in the world is this game a roller coaster of emotions as much as it is right now?
That was... XS Tortoise just got hit by every single CC still left in the game.
Still survived.
What happened? Craig with 2 headshots?
What? Okay, Craig.
Okay, Craig. What is Tortoise doing?
Craig died in the first phase of round 1, and like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, took that personally. Lament, however, is coming back with a vengeance and finds a casual double. This is a game of Overwatch that has happened in history.
That, oh boy. This, I think, was that my Blizzard who just went, help me. Yeah. No, none can help you. None can help us now. This is a really intense game. There's a Shatter!
Finds 3, but most importantly, the sound barrier to return. The Nano will do absolutely nothing other than bait out a single ultimate here. Surprisingly, infrared sights also used here for Craig, maybe looking to switch off later on. Tony trying to shoot a wall, but luckily it's their own. They also survive off the back of it. Infrared sights used back the other way. Sleep Dart lands, and snoozing is Tortoise now as they will Kate on top of it. Craig, even without walls, will still win the fight, and the overclock now used just the same. I don't think there's a saving grace left for All Hallows. Bird's sound barrier may be all that's left, but Bulgon dies, and they're gonna save that one for a rainy day. Shatter, do it.
Do the chat, do it. Oh, Tortoise taken out. That's really great. Tortoise goes in too aggressively, and now Richardson might not have the chance, but Bunks gets taken out.
There's no way. Craig finds the only kill he probably could have to turn the fight, and Lament does the worst pin I've ever seen and dies. They're going to complete second phase. They shouldn't have any business doing so, but Richardson's going to complete second phase. What is going on?
Reinhardt, please stop. Stop charging. Stop charging into the enemy backline. We want you guys to be aggressive, not that aggressive. You're not a Winston. You can't dive into the enemy backline. You can't do it like that. You
I would like to apologize for saying that I am here for the chaos. I am no longer here for the chaos. This is too much.
Oh, goodness. You got the Shatter online for both Reinhardt, so they're going to be playing around that, as well as the Amplification Matrix can be really damaging, especially with the Fire Strike buff that came recently. It could be really scary there for the squishing on the side of the Gale Gamers. And also a lot of time on the time bank. You have Craig going on to the Echo now.
Got taken out by Tony. Our first Hanzo of today, by the way, at least for our previous 2 series. I don't know if you saw it in the first one. Either way, still looking at it. Both Shatters, again, still available. A perfect bait from Tortoise, but they're anti. They cannot overextend. A Nano to negate the previous damage done. An Amplification Matrix to try and amplify any damage they can, but the sound barrier to return. It is a press Q simulator here on Phase 3 of King's Row. Dackwell still has the overclock available, though, and has decided better of using it early on. Tony still towards that back line. Bulgon still on the left side, yet to die somehow. Dackwall has yet to drop them, and Tom will dive through. The Dragon Strike over top. Tom has been antied and will be taken out courtesy of that hammer, but Dackwall's overclock finally used and finally finds 4. Richardson may very well complete King's Row off the back of it.
That could be just exactly what they need. Craig coming up onto the copy, might come in onto the Reinhardt. The question is if anyone can touch. It's going to be Bird on the touch, but they're going to get...
Richardson win King's Row off the back of a boop. Oh my goodness. If that's a way to close out a map, I suppose that's par for the course here in our final series.
Overwatch.
This is a game that has happened in all time. It is certainly a game.
Oh, goodness.
You know, K-Wing, I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but I think the best way to put a capitalization or exclamation mark on the end of map 2 is sending it to a break. So when we come back,
I think so too. I need a break.
Colosseo is on the board. Richardson have the opportunity to make it 3 3-0s on the day. Will they do so? Well, only Rome will know. After one of the games of all time, Kings Row has finally come to an end. I don't know what the heck happened, but we've learned two things. The shift key and the Q key both work very much for both of these teams, maybe a little bit too much, to understate the obvious. Welcome back, by the way, to the EGFH Season 12 play. I'm Time to Light, joined alongside News K-Wing, and Richardson has somehow won Kings Row after whatever the heck just happened.
They sure have. I mean, I'm
I think it's time for some self-reflection.
I know. We're gonna end this series, and I'm just going to like walk around the streets of my city and just like, for 2 hours.
I'm gonna take
Saying
apart my
nothing.
computer after this game. That's what I'm gonna do.
Just completely dismantle it.
I'm actually gonna do that because I stole my brother's graphics card. I'm home for spring break, so yeah, it's kind of my graphics card, so I stole it anyway. But I gave it to him before I left, so I'm actually taking my computer apart after this. I'm not kidding, but for a completely different reason than this game being something for sure. We'll take a look at our next map. Spoiler alert, it's Push, and we're headed back to Rome. Colosseo will maybe close out this series if history was to repeat itself over today, but Richardson haven't seemed the most confident in a lot of these fights, so all Hallows are still very much in this series.
Oh, absolutely. This is not. We've seen some dominant 3-0s today, where it by map 2 it just seemed a matter of time, or by map 3 I mean it just seemed a matter of time. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I do think that Richardson High School is a bit of a favorite, but I think All Hallows has shown their stripes pretty well, especially on their attack phase of Kings Row. Those first 2 points were dominant and played really well, but Richardson just brought out the weird stuff, and that's all it took, really. And with Colosseo, it's a lot of that back and forth, and again, it is this rush composition that we've seen. We've seen Reinhardt, Ramatra, Junker Queen, those types of aggressive, in-your-face tanks, and All Hallows have shown that they are pretty good at that they are no slouches at that. So I definitely see a world in which we go to Circuit Royale and maybe even Antarctic Peninsula. We might see the Penguins, Time. We might.
All I'm saying is I don't think we're going to see another tank. We are going to go from seeing all but one tank in my first series to only one tank in our second series. Some notable subs, by the way, for all of you curious. Bird, who was on the Lucio in our previous match, is out. Archive is in. Mouse is in for Bunks, who I believe was playing primary DPS on the other side as well. So All Hallows have some new faces making some appearances.
And those new faces could be, I say this a lot, but it could be that turnaround. It could be trying to, oh, it
Never
looks
mind,
like
Bunks is
no,
back in. Wait,
Bunks
he played last map.
Yeah, so I think
Our producer just got debated. It's okay.
I think this could be the turnaround for All Hallows here. Trying to bring in some new support, some new DPS, try out a little bit of changes in the composition to fit more to maybe a meta. Could be what they need to make that 2-0 a 2-1.
Well, we head back into the game. Colosseo is our third and possibly final map of this series. I've never actually seen this cinematic before, so I didn't know the rest of the map actually looked cool. I just thought it was a Coliseum, and that's it. Apparently, there's more than just the map itself. Richardson has the very definitive advantage in this one. However, we are finally seeing another tank. Tortoise is not playing Reinhardt. Instead, goes on the Wrecking Ball. It's very different, but I suppose you can still hold W while also using right-click predominantly.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. The Tracer is going to complement it pretty well, especially that DPS line, but you've got to be worried about your backline. You've got to be worried about those more immobile characters on the side of the Legal Eagles, and we're worried that they might get run over by Lament as already Tortoise rolls out.
Tortoise is stuck with that sticky grenade, but luckily survives off the back of it. Lament overextending, though. Very lucky to be alive. Very well-timed Bionade actually does 2 for 1, an anti and an overheal. Again, however, the overaggression is there. Lament being caught out. Tony doesn't even survive it, and Dockwell still just sitting here with full charge. May very well be able to take out that Reinhardt. I don't think they're going to win this fight on the All Hallows side. Tortoise runs out of ammo, the only Wrecking Ball to ever do so, but still wins the fight and will allow the team to do just the same.
This is just going to be a bit chaotic, isn't it? It's just going to be a little, Kings Row 2 Electric Boogaloo coming out from Richardson, but I don't know if the sequel is going to be as good as the original as we're rolling out. You have a few ults coming online. Lament with the Shatter is pretty free, as there's not many shields on the. There's only Senior Bacon's shield on the side of the Legal Eagles, so watch out for that ultimate coming up, as that could be a fight winner there. Really good slam from Tortoise.
Craig making sure their crouch key worked as they were attempting this flank. Pulse Bomb whiffs entirely, so Craig unfortunately presses Q and does very little. However, a different type of bomb, the minefield out here for Tortoise, as they will find one off the back of it, and Craig doubles up. Lament, again, the last one alive, and will be the last one to fall. Team kill here, as All Hallows are taken care of in swift fashion.
Me, a philosopher, what is a minefield if not many small pulse bombs? As we're rolling out here, you do have the Shatter on the side of Lament, but it needs to get Tom. If it doesn't get Tom, Tom is going to pop that Transcendence, and it'll be all for naught. Forward spawns activated for the Legal Eagles, so it's going to be even worse. Oh no, Tom got caught out. This Shatter is going to be free.
Actually almost got away as well, using that increased melee ability. Lament still looking for the Shatter, by the way, but who would they shatter? Rig has a shield. Tortoise can get out of dodge fairly quickly. There's the Shatter. It only finds Tortoise, and he'll be perfectly fine with that. Senior Bacon hits the whip shot and drops Fulgon. There is a return, but it's only one. In comes Tortoise, right back for it, but Tony, with that lifesteal, does enough damage to keep themselves in the fight. This forward spawn for Richardson, however, will keep them more than healthy in this engagement.
I love how Tony just looks around after Tortoise comes
survives,
in.
Right?
Wow. Tortoise survives that. Okay. That is brutal. I love how Tony just looks around like an NPC in a stealth game, just like, must have been the wind. And now rolling through a lot of ults on the side of the Richardson Legal Eagles as Bulgon getting taken out early.
Rally for Pulse Bomb and Bulgon taken care of. Your, I suppose, primary heals in this support duo is taken care of, but Richardson by no means has a free fight here. Tortoise is being absolutely focused on and still wants to try and play aggressive. Fire Strike used. Lament's very close to that Shatter again, but Archive is taken care of by the Minefield again. This series of Pulse Bombs in a very short period of time. Attack Wall actually able to just find 3 kills at the back of it. Minefield overrated, I suppose.
Minefield overrated, DAC wall activated, and Richardson holding on to this Transcendence, I think, is a good choice. That they really haven't had the need to use it yet, but now against Lament's, if Lament tries to use that Shatter, again, it just needs to hit Tom. If it doesn't hit Tom, then they're just going to use the Transcendence. Tom feels threatened and uses that Transcendence anyway.
Trans used fairly early in this. Not a single ultimate used in return, at least not yet. Tony, very lucky to stay alive, doesn't use the Death Blossom, but also doesn't stay alive. The Amplification Matrix used. Lament absolutely smashes Dackwall over the head with the hammer and finds a follow-up onto both Craig and Tom as well. But Richardson haven't fully lost the fight. Tortoise is still alive, somehow, and will actually just continue to throw off Lament in order to delay the bot so forward spawns continue.
And that's huge there. That delay allowing for forward spawns as Lament charges into the entirety of Legal Eagles with not many people behind them. You're running into some really difficult times there for Lament as, oh, this is an interesting this is just interesting. I don't know.
Very expensive fight there for All Hallows. They use a lot of cooldowns early on, and most importantly, use the rally without much coming off the back of it. Tony just accepts their fate and will stay stagnant, so they die. Unfortunate finish, but Richardson is still holding strong and keeping the bot forward.
Completely agree, and like you said, a really, really expensive fight. You had the rally used on the side of Richardson, but they got the fight win off of it. Archive uses it and just, they don't win the fight. It's an even trade, but you really can't be getting these even trades on the to keep your ult. Oh wow!
I suppose
okay,
using the
Lament.
Death Blossom to counter minefields works. Lament just gets booped off, and Tortoise can't survive. But Tortoise fights too. No way! That may very well keep Richardson in this fight. 3 players die to environmentals. I believe that's 4, 5, and 6, all respectively. Somehow Bulgon's still alive. The cleanse will keep them in this one. Craig dies to bunks after the healing stays true. And what the heck has just happened in the House of Commons?
I don't know. Lament is getting pick after pick, but at this point,
Tom, what?
What?
This is another map of all time, I think.
Yeah, I do think it sure is an oat map.
Bunk's trying to play a little over-aggressive. Recall will get them back up to 100 HP, but they won't stay alive for very long if they continue this aggression. Bulgon hits a headshot onto Craig, so they absolutely get dropped off the face of the earth, or the face of the map, depending on whether you're looking for environmental kills or not. Shadow on the board again here for Lament. They will try their aggression, but Bunks with a Pulse Bomb wants to do just that. From behind, Pulse Bomb misses entirely.
Really good charger. Lament has been really good at this aggression, I think, has been this lesson. Lament can get aggressive, and it can be really good, but Dackwall also there.
Double there from Dackwall, almost finds a third, but the healing's there. Bulgon was healing Archive, so Archive could do damage, because supports are now both supports and damage dealers. Because, welcome to Overwatch 2, I suppose. Richardson, by far, are not giving up this checkpoint, though. Good barrage of orbs onto Archive, and Tortoise finishes him from behind. Follow-up may be there. Good Suzu to cleanse out any damage done. But Richardson is still involved. A follow-up is there. Senor Bacon involved on Bulgon's death as well, and Lament no longer for this world. Tortoise just cleaning up house here on Coliseum.
And now, coming into 2 minutes left, every ultimate is online for the Legal Eagles. They are coming into this next fight with everything that they could want going for them. They have about probably like 2-3 fights, and the Richardson High School, they could pretty much just swing through this with all their ults, but Not when they lose Dackwall like that.
Pulse Bomb used again here for Craig. Again, can't hit all that much. Tracers have not been the greatest with their ultimates. Remainder of their utility, sure, but not that much of the ultimates. 4 ults still available here for Richardson though.
Yeah, and that's really good. Not using a lot of ults there. Okay.
That happened. Or very early Transcendence. Will still keep them involved. Pulse Bomb misses, but the pin does not. Senor Bacon is flattened up against a very hard surface. But Dackwall just pushes the bot back. That's enough for Richardson to be involved in the next fight before checkpoint is actually hit.
That's really, really smart from Dackwall playing the bot. Whereas there was almost 2 separate fights during that game. Now close to the checkpoint, but not going to get it. They're trying to roll through, but these mines are going to be tough. There's a Kitsune Rush.
Very well placed Kitsune Rush. That actually lands on all 3 players. They still want to aggress in through these minefields, but they can't push the bot safely because of that high ground control. And Tortoise now from behind. It's a Death Blossom used. It finds only 1, but enough damage onto 2 and 3 to have them drop off the back of it. Tortoise is taken care of. 20 seconds left. It's final fight with the checkpoint now reached here for All Hallows to stay alive in the series.
You want, for Richardson, you want a quick fight for this. You need to get this fight over with now. Because if All Hallows has time, they get that shatter, they get that pulse bomb, they have some chance. They need it to end now.
The overclock, it finds Borgon. Tony taken care of as well. That may very well end the series. It's the shatter only to keep them involved. Lament finds 1, but it's all for naught. An inconsequential ultimate to close out the map and subsequently the series. Richardson High School will continue our streak of 0 wins for the losing team in a series and will sweep All Hallows just as has been done thus far today.
A really incredible series of Overwatch that we've watched today. I can fully say that I did not know what to expect at any moment. That Lament is a really impressive tank. This is it's the surprising part of this match is that these players are incredibly good at their roles. And don't laugh at me. Don't laugh. Time.
The surprising part is that they're good at the game.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. They have a lot of skill. And you can see just exactly why these teams are as good as they are. Mm-hmm. But I think also you have to acknowledge the fact that this was a very bizarre map. I don't know why. And really, I have no idea what is the reason for it, but just the fact that you can see so much of that skill here with all of these players, including the All Hallows squad, even though they lost 0-3, you can see so much skill and so much mastery of their heroes. We joke about this being a little crazy, but these are some skilled players.
I think the main reason it was crazy is because the Reinhardts having to take one another on needed to throw each other off and interrupt the ebb and flow that they're used to playing, whether it being between competitive games or against other tanks. I think it was a little bit more of a normal game on Caliseo because Tortoise was on that Wrecking Ball, but it was still such a surprising matchup to see on King's Row that really set the tone for Richardson to take Caliseo, even in as narrow of a fashion as they did. Only about 9 meters was their safety net to close out map 3, but regardless, they do still close out map 3. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. Then when we come back, it's our final segment of the day, an interview with Craig, the Tracer, to throw off that ebb and flow, coming in for an interview when we return. We're done for the day, but our interview's still on the card. Sometime to light joined alongside me is K-Wing, and Craig hops in for an interview. Craig, very well played throughout the entirety of the series, but King's Row, the massive talking point. I want to get your thoughts to start things off on the series victory, and especially King's Row.
Yeah, we were kind of worried about All Hallows. They got a lot better. I feel like in the last 4 years that I've done EGFH, All Hallows is the only team that through every rebuild, they've gotten consistently scarier to go against. So you never really know what you're going up against with them. So I'm glad that we were able to close it out with a 3-0. Kings Row, honestly, that was the map we were worried most about because Lament is a really, really good Reinhardt player. He's got like 400 something hours on that character. But I feel like XX Tortoise XX is one of those players where if you put him against a really big challenge or somewhere where he feels like his pride is kind of on the line, he really just turns up in that moment. So I think he was able to do a lot for us in that Reinhardt mirror that allowed us to catch that map.
Yeah, and then you talked a lot about King's Row, but then coming into Coliseum, you had a pretty solid lead and then almost let it slip at the end there. What do you think? Do you think there was that kind of turning point? Do you think that moment of like kind of digging in deep and digging your heels in?
So Coliseum is the only map that we're not really happy about with today's match. Obviously, we could have done a lot better. We had a strong start on that map. I think the issue for us there was our target calls really kind of fell apart. I forget what it was, but I think they made a switch on one of their DPS heroes to Tracer, and then we got into this kind of state where our backline would get pushed by the Reinhardt, and then the Tracer would go with them. So our discords weren't on where we wanted them to be on, and then like you saw a lot of times I would be shooting one thing on the Tracer, Tortoise would be shooting another, Dacquil would be shooting another. So we ended up getting picked off in situations where we really shouldn't have. So we're gonna have to go back and VOD review a little bit. Our ball comp is still really a work in progress. It's kind of a weird meta right now, so we're just kind of throwing that at the wall to see like what we can make work. And we want to try and push that forward in the future and maybe have it as a little pocket pick in case ball gets any stronger or something like that. But for now, we're probably just going to stick more towards like Reinhardt or Brawl comps where we can play a lot tighter because our coordination just isn't quite at the level that we want it to be.
Yeah, you guys seem to be really confident on that Reinhardt composition. Can you take us through exactly, you know, who's really leading that charge? Is it, your Reinhardt? Is it, your backline support? Who's the brains in that situation?
So, it's kind of a 50-50 split between me and our tank player XX Tortoise XX, aka Ultra Tortoise 13, aka the greatest console player of all time. It's really just depends on he'll have like a fight plan that he wants to go in with on the Reinhardt. He'll have like a general framework, but I think I have like a lot more experience in team play. So when it comes to making mid-fight decisions, like if we want to abandon our plan and focus on a different target, or if we suddenly have an ult in the mid-fight that we didn't prepare for, usually I can take over in situations like that, and I'll call either push their Reinhardt or we need to back up, things like that, and I'll kind of help guide our team into making sure that we stay cohesive and that when things get chaotic, we're still able to kind of surround around our Reinhardt and make sure that we stay tight and stay grouped on that composition.
And closing things out, especially on Coliseum, when things got a little bit more chaotic for you, how did you slow things down? Because it came down to the final 10 meters. You had one fight. If you lost it, you lost the map, and you were going to have to play Casino Royale. Talk me through that final fight and recuperating your losses to turn it into a fight and subsequently a map and series victory.
Honestly, we all got really frustrated towards those last like 2 or 3 fights there because the plays that we were setting up just weren't really going through. Because again, like they kept just pushing our backline, so we didn't have the brig resources and we didn't have the Discord on the targets that we wanted them to be on. So we kind of just got frustrated. So when that last fight came around, Tortoise just made the call. He was like, "Hey, chill out. We still touch before they get the lead. Just go on whatever I go on. Like my calls are absolute." So we all just made sure that we focused on whatever he was on. It's not like the optimal way to play that comp. You kind of want to be split up a little bit on ball comp, but we thought, we're better when we're grouped anyway. It requires less coordination. There's less of a risk of our backline getting split off from our team. So we just decided to group really tightly right there and play it like it was a brawl fight.
Yeah, well, the mobility seemed to play in your favor more often than not, and then you brought the team cohesion, and you just completely evaporated your opponents to close things out. Speaking of closing things out, that's all we have for you, but as we always do here at the EGFH, anybody you want to shout out, any final thoughts in the series, anything you want to say that isn't mean, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I want to shout out Lopez Gaming, aka Brendan Bermejo, aka GM main support player for the Crespi Celts, now at Loyola University, the greatest main support player ever, for teaching me how to play Overwatch and making me the player that I am today. Also, follow Craig Champ on Twitter. I make the greatest tweets of all time. I'm just a celebrity. What can I say?
I opened his Twitter. I can verify that. He does make some of the greatest tweets of all time. Craig, thank you very much for joining us. And again, congrats on the victory.
Thanks, man.
Well, K-Wing, to close things out, I want to focus more on the series and our series plural, apostrophe S at the end of series as a whole, because we had so many fights go so many different ways, but everything ended 3-0.
It really did. And like I said, that there is a reason for that. The map pool was pretty heavily favored to the team that was just kind of better at the rush composition. Though we did see some shakeups happen, like we were talking about with that wrecking ball, but that's kind of sometimes how it goes. And sometimes you just have one team that's dominant or one team that's just a little bit better at one composition than another. And I don't think that you can really make full-on determinations about a team. And we're still pretty young into the season here, into season 12 of EGFH. There's still a lot more Overwatch to play, a lot more games. So these results are hardly set in stone. You could see any team come back with a vengeance. And like Craig was saying, All Hallows, they're a team that is getting scarier and scarier to face off against. They might get even scarier as the season goes along. But like you said, that is it for us today. The broadcast is over. But if you want to check out more EGF action or EGFH action specifically, you can hit that heart button. You can hit the notification bell, and you can just follow EGF on all socials, Twitter at official EGF, and also Instagram at official EGF, and Twitch official EGF. There's so many social media sites,
So much.
but so many of them. But
We've got everything.
there's so much action going on throughout the week, and there's so much more of it. Make sure you don't miss a moment. Follow EGF on all socials, and follow us on socials at TTLcast for you, on Twitter at KWingcast for me, on Twitter. Follow us if you want to see what we're doing.
And to close out today, we still have some more action going on in Collegiate just the same. So twitch.tv/EGFOverwatch or twitch.tv/official-EGF. You can catch the Collegiate action alongside Counter-Strike and Valorant tomorrow, and League of Legends on Saturday, alongside next week, where we have Valorant on Monday, Rocket League on Wednesday, and more Overwatch to come your way on Thursday just the same. But that's going to do it for us. I've been Tyler Light. That's been K-Wing. We've had Juke earlier and Blizzard in the background now to close things away. Hopefully, we'll see you on the Collegiate broadcast. If not, we'll see you next week.